has so many ramifications and so many further reactions that we expect. We'll bring all of those to you when we get them. But let's now move back to Europe, and Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has warned that difficult hours remain in the fight against wildfires ravaging the country, despite the dropping of temperatures. After 16 days of scorching heat, touching up to 45 degrees Celsius at points, Prime Minister Sanchez has earlier called for a nationwide pact uniting all levels of government to combat what he called an accelerating climate emergency as wildfires raged in several parts of the country. In the third week of heatwave alerts, firefighters are continuing to battle blazes in the northwest and west of the country, with army units deployed to help contain the flames. PM Sanchez has urged the affected people to be attentive to the recommendations of the institutions. We'll now listen to what he has said.
La elección parece que llega a su fin y que efectivamente bajan las temperaturas. Podemos ver en distintas partes de España, ojalá pronto también aquí en Extremadura, un aumento de la humedad. A ver si podemos controlar también, ¿no? Se pueden controlar esos vientos por parte del clima y por tanto podamos tener mejores condiciones climáticas y medioambientales meteorológicas para poder afrontar este incendio. Pero decía porque quedan horas difíciles y por tanto a los medios de comunicación les pido, y también a los ciudadanos y ciudadanas que nos estén siguiendo en esta comparecencia de prensa, que extremen las precauciones, que no nos confiemos, que quedan momentos críticos, que quedan horas difíciles y que por tanto hagan caso y permanezcan atentos a cuáles sean las recomendaciones de las instituciones. Desde 1975 no se registra en España una ola de calor de la duración que ha tenido esta del año 2025. ¿Esto qué quiere decir? Quiere decir que con independencia de cuál sea la causa de los incendios, es evidente, nos lo dice la ciencia, nos lo dice también el sentido común, sobre todo de los agricultores y de ganaderos, de aquellos que viven en el medio rural, que el clima está cambiando, que la emergencia climática se está agravando.
Well, joining us to discuss these comments and, of course, the wider ramifications of not just global warming, but also these wildfires that have been impacting so much of areas of Europe, is Desmond Majekudunmi, who is an environmentalist joining us live from Lagos. Desmond, before we jump into talking about the environment, I do have another update that I need to bring, and this states that the public health body in Spain has said that 1,100 deaths have been reported linked to this recent heat wave. We heard Spain's leader there talking about this being one of the worst heat waves since the mid-70s, with such a significant amount of death being caused by heat, something which we know is getting worse. What needs to be done?
Well, the reality is that finally we've got somebody in charge of a country that is apparently recognizing it for what it is, which is exactly what the Secretary General of the United Nations said at the last World Summit last year. He said it's no longer a crisis, it's an emergency. This is an emergency that is facing planet Earth, and it is an unprecedented one. Never before in the living memory, the history of humanity, have we ever faced this type of catastrophic consequences that are coming out from nature. So what needs to be done is, first and foremost, get it into our consciousness that this actually is an emergency and we need to tackle it. And as we've said before, prevention is better than cure. So what's causing all this heat? Well, we've also said, and it's very, very clear and obvious, this is, like elementary science, that heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere keep this Earth at a certain temperature. If you increase these gases exponentially, as we are doing, then you're going to have a lot more heat. And when you have a lot more heat, you're going to have these kind of reactions. The reality is that what we're seeing now, in terms of the death rates, in terms of these incredibly voracious fires, and on the other extreme, the floods, this is just the beginning of what shall be forthcoming if we don't stop burning the items that are causing this, which is mainly fossil fuel. and protecting our forests. So yeah, it's an emergency, and some of the leadership now appears to at least be declaring it as an emergency, as opposed to in a certain part of the world, they're actually denying that it exists. It's like, 2 plus 2, well, that doesn't really, I mean, that's fake news if you're going to be telling me that 2 plus 2 is 4. I mean, come on, man. For God's sake, wake up, humanity.
Yes,
to this reality.
Desmond, we are very short on time. We have around a minute left, but you've alluded to there one world leader talking about this emergency. But we have a leader in the US who is talking drill, baby, drill, a key slogan, of course, looking at expanding the US oil industry. Is it going to take a superpower like the US or China or Russia, who of course are so key in the oil trade, to make any real difference here? Because Spain, speaking on their own, might not resonate with these global superpowers.
Yes, well, they need to start behaving like a responsible superpower. The wonderful silver lining on this very, very, very dark cloud is it is going to bring humanity together. And we have organizations like yours that are transferring, just going all around the world, connecting us. We need to come together as, brothers and sisters, living on our only home that is in dire trouble. And once we can do that, we'll have far more compassion, we'll have a far more caring place, and we will make this world a better place. And in the process, stop the poison and plant millions and billions of trees and care for nature so nature can care for us.
Desmond, thank you ever so much for joining us.